What does this all mean as kids head back to school? Well, a new parenting book out tomorrow aims to help families get a clearer picture. The Family Firm, a data-driven guide to better decision-making in the early school years, aims to cut through the clutter and assist parents in making more informed decisions, especially amid the confusion surrounding the pandemic. And best-selling author, Brown University economics professor Emily Oster is here to tell us all about it. Emily, so glad to have you on. I'm about to send my kid to school for the first time. I've got number 2 on the way, and I can tell you the decision fatigue is real. So you in the book talk about making structured, deliberate parenting decisions. Walk us through how to do that with the 4 Fs.
So thanks so much for having me. And, when I think about the 4 Fs, the real idea here is that we want to have a way to think about your decisions the way almost you would at work. So start with framing the question. What is the question you're asking? What are the alternatives? If you don't send your kid back to school, what are you going to do with them? Second step, fact find. Think about what is the data that I need? How do I need to understand the risks? How do I need to understand the logistics? How am I going to fit this together and really figure out all the information you need to make the choice? Third step, make a final decision. I think in a lot of these hard choices, we tend to let the decision just fester and fester and think about it in the shower and think about it when we're trying to go to sleep. You should really have a meeting to make the decision, have a time. This is the time I'm going to make a decision, and then move on. And the last step is to have some follow-up, have some plan that once you've made that decision, you can think about, was it the right decision after some period? And I think we should always be willing to change our minds, but we should have a plan for when we're going to think about changing our minds. I think if we do that, my hope is that it will help us all make better choices, particularly in, as you say, what's such a complicated time at the moment.
It sure is. And, you talk about fact-finding and whatnot, but most busy parents, we just don't have the time to be Googling all these different things and sorting through what's fact and what's fiction, which is why it's so nice to have a book like this. I know a few areas that you focus on are nutrition, school entry, age, school itself, extracurriculars, screen time, and sleep. But you say data doesn't necessarily make these decisions for us. It makes making the decisions easier. Why that distinction? Why not just tell parents, here's what the data says you should do?
I think the biggest thing is that for all parents, the choices that they are making are different. So particularly as our kids get a little older, we're all facing slightly different choices. And so with something like data on sleep, it's really relevant for many of the choices we make, but maybe not the same choice for me and you. So you may be interested in the question of how much sleep do kids need so you can decide, should my kid go to a school that's an hour away where they'll have to wake up really early? I may want to know the answer to that question so I can think about, should they do this extracurricular activity in the evening? So as we get into these more complicated, more variable decisions of older parenting, there's a need for data, but also a need for this decision wrapper around it. And that's, I think, what I'm trying to provide a little bit in the book.
And throughout this pandemic, you've become a go-to for many parents, especially when it comes to information about schools and pandemic safety. But you've also attracted criticism from some who say that you either cherry pick your data or you downplay risks to suit your opinions. What's your response to that?
I think I've spent a lot of the pandemic trying to create good data, trying to help people have more of a decision frame for the kinds of choices that they are making. By the end of the pandemic, in our data on schools, we had the most comprehensive national data set on schools, 12 million kids over a huge number of states, a lot of urban school districts, and so on. So, I think that I would push back a little bit on that criticism, but I would also say, I think that this has been a really hard time for everyone to make choices, and I have tried to be a voice to help people make some of their own choices while recognizing that it's hard to feel like any choice is correct with such a complicated setting with the coronavirus.
And it does just feel like the landscape is ever changing. Every time it feels like we have a peg on what this thing is and how to move forward. Now we have the Delta variant out there that seems to be throwing a huge wrench in everything we believed about this pandemic and what we thought next year would look like. So what's your message for parents out there who are getting ready to send their kids to school and wondering what the heck is going to happen now?
So I think the main thing that a lot of people have been emphasizing, and I think we should keep emphasizing to parents, is that even with the Delta variant, kids are at very low risk for serious illness. And, the best thing you can do to protect them is to have the adults around them vaccinated. And I think if we sort of think about those two things, that there's something you can do, it's to get vaccinated, to ensure the other adults around your kids are vaccinated, while at the same time recognizing that we're still very lucky that the risks to kids are low. I think that can help generate both some sense of control and some sense of confidence as parents think about sending their kids back to school, which we know is really, really valuable for kids in terms of their mental health, in terms of their learning. So there's a lot of reasons to have them in school, and these are things we can do to help try to make that possible and safe and confident.
All right. Emily Oster, author of The Family Firm, a data-driven guide to better decision-making in the early school years. Emily, thanks so much for being here. And again, the book is out tomorrow. You can pick it up wherever books are sold.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.